Hello, so you have bought your new camper van and you've asked that all-important question: what is the best insurance for a camper van? You receive numerous answers, sending you to various different websites where you can log in, put in all your details and obtain the best camper van insurance, asking all the relevant questions. Is it a panel van? Is it a motor caravan? Is it a DIY conversion? Do you own Crocs? And do you own a dry robe? Probably not questions you're going to come across. And each of the various recommended specialists all provide your quotations and you choose the cheapest one possible. You pay your premium and now you're fully insured. You don't read any of your documents properly. You're not interested in the policy wording, the endorsements, the warranties, the terms and conditions and excesses, and just file those documents away for a day you may need them. A few weeks later, your van's had a fire. It is burnt to the ground and there is nothing left. But don't worry, you've got that insurance. But it's at this point you find out that you're not actually insured and won't get paid a penny for the van. But why? Well, because you didn't read the terms and conditions of the policy. You didn't know what policy you was buying. You didn't know what was in that policy wording, because within the policy wording of the policy which you purchased for your camper van, there was a section which states what's not covered. And within this, it states any damage by fire is not covered if the vehicle is equipped for cooking. Wow, it's a good job camper vans don't have gas hobs or anything else for cooking, isn't it? This is within the policy wording from one insurer, which some of these camper van specialist brokers actually use. I've seen it with my own eyes. This same insurer does actually have another policy wording, which is slightly different, which is less onerous, less black and white as far as cooking's concerned. But this isn't available with all of these brokers. I've only actually seen it available by one, which is actually far less recommended. But this still in itself does pose a problem, and I'll come on to this in a moment. Just because you're insured with Insurer A, it doesn't mean that all the policy wordings are actually the same and you're covered up to the same levels of cover with the same conditions, the same wording, the same terms. For example, one big insurer actually has a policy wording which excludes any claim which is attributable to any lighting, heating or cooking apparatus. Yet the same insurer has another wording which doesn't state this. So you need to be knowing what you've actually got. Have you read your policy documents? Do let me know if you have. I don't expect I'd see many comments stating that you actually have, because a lot of people just don't. I think it's about time you checked your documents, but not now. There's a lot more you need to be aware of, which I'm going to come on to in a moment, including coming up, you might not actually get paid as much for your van as you think you're going to. The next one, and still relating to fire, this is a little bit more specific, yet I do think a lot of you would still potentially fall foul of this one. Loss of or damage to the vehicle or of its contents or accessories caused by fire arising from the use of heating or cooking apparatus, unless a serviceable fire extinguisher is being carried in the insured vehicle. Well, I'm sure you've probably got your fire extinguisher. I really do hope you have. However, is it one that's actually serviceable? I don't even think the one which I carry is serviceable, and mine is actually quite a good fire extinguisher. Now, these little aerosols, which I know a lot of you carry around in your glove boxes, yes, they might do a job. They don't last very long, so it's not really one I'd recommend as your main fire extinguisher, but that's another story. But that is definitely not serviceable. So if you have got that in your policy wording and you have a fire attributable to cooking, heating, etc., then you're not going to be covered because your fire extinguisher is not serviceable. Make sure you check your policy wording. I am not saying that any of these policies are bad in any way, shape or form. I'm just saying you need to know what yours stipulates so you know what the conditions actually are, so you can abide by them and actually be paid out in the event of a claim. And what about your gas and your gas installation? Now, this is a big topic and a whole video actually on its own, something which I will be doing in the future. but some policies will actually exclude cover for fire if the gas is not fitted and serviced in accordance with the gas safety regulations. I will explain more in a future video, going really in depth. I know there are a lot of camper vans out there which do not comply with the gas safety regulations. Appliances within them are not fitted within the manufacturer's installation instructions, which is just not good. Why would you do that? Some of the installations are not using the required parts. Why? You're potentially putting other people's lives at risk by not installing them properly. I just don't understand it. Why isn't the job done properly and fit them correctly? Anyway, moving on to another potential problem. Well, actually, here there's several problems, but I will start off at the smaller end. Your contents, clothings, furnishings, camping equipment, utensils, awnings, policies can refer to these under different terms. A lot of them will class these as personal belongings, and some policies are very good, but others really just are not. They are not going to give you the value of cover which you actually need. Would £150 cover all your gear? What about £250? No, they're not going to be good enough, are they? But some policies do provide these very, very low amounts of cover, whereas actually I've seen others which might actually provide up to something like £3,500 or potentially even more. But what does your policy include? Do you carry awnings? Do you carry contents and things in your vehicle? Something which you do need to check. Some of you might be covering these under your household insurance, but again, have you checked your household policy? Is it covered under there if it's kept in your vehicle? And also regarding audio equipment in your vehicle, have you got the standard equipment which was provided by Volkswagen or maybe Ford or what other manufacturer of vehicle you've actually got? Then it might be okay. But if you've actually installed a new system, maybe the Alpine Halo 11 or the Halo 9 or maybe the Kenwood or something, and these kind of units might be costing quite a lot of money. Well, is the £500 audio equipment cover provided under your policy good enough? Do check this out, because actually, even though you might tell the person that that's what you've got in there, doesn't necessarily mean that that is what's going to be provided under your policy. Do check that that is the correct amount. And I know people have fallen foul of that for a fact. But maybe you've checked all your sums insured and everything is good. All the inner limits within that policy are exactly what you need, covering exactly what you want. Fantastic. You pull up at site, you get the van all prepared and all ready, you pop up the pop top because it's a really warm day, and you head off out to the beach and you have a lovely day. And here we could have another problem. Have you secured all your doors, windows and all other openings? Oops, no, we left the pop top open. We've gone out all day, somebody's come in and they've robbed all our stuff. But because we didn't know that we needed to secure all our doors, windows and other openings, we're not actually covered under our insurance policy now. Or perhaps your policy's got a exclusion for theft unless there's signs of forcible or violent entry, which there obviously isn't because they've climbed in through the open roof. And again, you're not covered. Make sure you know what your terms and conditions are. Make sure you know what you need to do to ensure that cover applies under your policy. And another one is perhaps you'd left the windows open, so you decided that you was going to turn the alarm system off because the alarm kept going off because you'd left the windows open and a breeze was coming through. Well, if your alarm isn't actually operative, then insurance might not necessarily pay out if it's within that policy. Do be careful. Just make sure you know what those terms and conditions are. And has your insurance company requested a tracker is fitted to your vehicle? Well, if they have, then they would have likely specified an approved system. Some say an approved vacuum system, and some will actually state what category of system which they would want. And normally this is a category 5 or a category 7, with the 5 being the better specification available. Ensure this is fitted. Just because Mr. X from Facebook is recommending a £10 tracker, which he bought from eBay, which he's got fitted to his high-spec campervan, has never had any problems, it's not going to be good enough for the insurer's requirements. That tracker will not be any use to an insurance company in the event of the vehicle stolen if they've specified you need it to be a Thatcham 507. I talked about this in my security video, which I said about the various different layers of security, and a tracker is another good layer to actually have on there. But really, an approved one is by far a better option and can definitely give you that better peace of mind. So if you have complied with all your terms and your conditions, the various different endorsements on the policy, and you are unfortunate to suffer a loss, a claim, damage, then what are you actually going to get paid for your van? How will an insurance company deal with that claim for your £70,000 panel van, which you've actually had converted into a really good camper van conversion? But the base van of the vehicle is actually book priced at £15,000. This will depend on various different factors, and it could well be a big problem. And I know some people have had this problem. They've spent the money on the conversion, but the insurance company has still got it based as a van with windows, and that's effectively what they're going to get paid out. Just the base van, the base vehicle cost is what they're going to get paid out for the insurance. Again, just because Mr. X from Facebook has told you that certain insurance company does agreed value insurance policies doesn't actually mean that you actually have one. You've got to actually have it endorsed on your policy. It has to be in your schedule that you have an agreed value and what that agreed value is. And to get that, you do have to jump through certain hoops. Quite basic, but you've obviously got to prove that the £150,000 camper van, which you're declaring it's worth, is actually worth £150,000. And what you think it's worth and what it is actually worth could be two different things. So you do need to make sure that you can get that agreed valuation. So in the event of that loss, that significant incident occurring, you are actually going to get back the money which you think you're going to get. Unless you've got a type approved camper van like a Volkswagen California, or maybe one of the bespoke conversions which I've discussed before, it might be a harder job to actually have your panel van actually valued at 50, 60, 70,000 pounds. You have to check your documents to make sure that what you think you're going to get, you will actually get. Is the recommended best camper van insurance actually the best camper van insurance? Or is it just the cheapest camper van insurance? You do need to make sure that you read the documents to make sure you know what you've actually bought. You don't want to be making any mistakes. And if you don't want to be making any mistakes as far as legal requirements for your vehicle is concerned, you can have a look at that video here, or maybe a brand new camper van here. Thanks for watching. Take care. I hope to see you soon.